Good morning. Welcome to Leominster Access Television. My name is Jack. We don't even have to go into last names, do we? Well, maybe we will. But I'm welcoming to today's Cityscope the cast of this year's all-city musical, which is The Sound of Music. And we're here with some of the students that are playing major roles, and we're just gonna, number one, we're gonna have some fun. And number two, we're gonna talk a little bit about the play and hope to bring some people to the play next week, which would be, wow, March 23rd and March 24th. Wow, this year is flying. And it's gonna fly with you guys even more when you get to be, oh, I hate to keep going into this, our age, and it's tax time. Anyway, hi.
Hi.
We're all sitting here with, well, you got some nice smiles. And we have, let me see if I can get this, Maria, Elsa, the captain, Liesel. Liesel, I'm gonna get it right. And I've seen the movie a million times. I've seen the play a couple times. And we've got Max, and we've got Rolf. Rolf, how do you feel? I mean, you're pretty much the villain in this. If there is a villain in The Sound of Music, you are the villain. How do you feel about that? Do you embrace the role?
Yeah, I really do embrace the role because it helps out the character later on in the role. I don't even know what I'm saying right now.
That's all right, neither do I.
It was definitely a challenge to play him because then, you know, sometimes I'm going around, you know, I'm just a really happy guy, and then all of a sudden I'm turning into a really mean person, you know, say, hey guys, go to the Nazis, okay? They're the good people.
Yeah. Yeah. So even, you know, even in a musical like this, which is pretty much a love story, it's got a lot of levels to it. There's a love story between Maria and the captain. There's a love story between, help me here, Liesel and Rolf, right? There's a kind of a love triangle between the captain, Maria, and Elsa. Boy, this is great. We're all about name tags. I mean, there's a lot of depth here. Plus, with the political background going on, where at this time the Nazis were taking over Europe, and then there's the whole we are fleeing the country that we love, going over the mountains to a new world. I mean, it's pretty deep. Besides the fact that, what's the most fun part of this show?
The most fun part of the show, there's like different parts of it that you can really say. To me, it's the cast, because I was talking to a friend of mine earlier. She didn't get a big part in her musical. And I said, well, is it a good cast? Because she was deciding if she wanted to stay with it. And she said yes. And I said, you should stay with it, because as long as there's a good cast, then it's bound to be a good show.
And like we were talking earlier, the biggest part of being an actress is what?
Rejection.
And learning how to
handle it.
Right, and like that person, whoever this other person was, seemed to have handled it well. You know, you don't get the lead, but you still become part of the ensemble. And in a show like this, which there's just so many characters, there's so many musical numbers, the ensemble is what makes it shine. Speaking of ensemble, can we jump to the producer, Mr. Landry? How many kids are involved with this year's show?
I'd say there's around 60 middle school.
Right.
And around 15 elementary.
All right.
And then the crew is around 15 to 20, so close to 100.
So you got close to 100 people involved with
this.
And I mean, besides the fact that you're orchestrating this whole, you know, there's a lot of coordination here to make this thing work. Is there any teaching involved besides the show itself? You're trying to give them any life lessons through this? Or?
Well, the whole thing's full life lessons.
Okay.
It's about having something bigger on front of you and taking it little by little and get to the point where you can conquer this big, huge project. And the life lessons you learn in that about yourself, about everyone around you, about how important it is to be working with other people and open-minded and that's how you get things huge
Yeah.
done.
It's almost like, we were talking a little bit about the Patriots. It's like how they say one play at a time, one play at a time, do your job. If everybody does that, then it all comes together at the end.
Yes.
Or like the movie Creed. Has anyone seen Creed?
No.
Come on, guys.
The new one?
How about the Rocky series? Anybody get into the Rocky series? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
No.
No, Rocky Balboa, and then Creed. Creed is the latest in the whole Rocky series where it's one step at a time, one punch at a time, one round at a time. And before you know it, 15 rounds is behind you and you've become a champion. Pretty cool life lessons, huh? All right. So let's talk a little bit about who you are. Okay, we already did you, so we're going to come back to you. Who you are, like your real life name, what your role is, and a little bit about the play. Let's start with Elsa.
I'm Autumn, and I'm playing Elsa in the play this year. And my role in the play is I'm Georg's first love interest, but then it doesn't work out because Maria comes in. So.
Okay. Now, do you think that was almost like a prearranged type thing? Because, back in the day when you had a rich family and a rich family, they kind of got together,
Yeah.
almost like, royalty. Do you think that was like that, or do you think that they, kind of fell for each other over, like, they were out at, McDonald's and they spotted each other over the French fries? You think it might?
Well, one of the big things that goes on the play is how we talk about how it's really hard to find love when you have so much money.
Yeah.
So I think we end up not finding love together because we think that other people need our money to
Yeah.
fall in love with us. So. Yeah.
Wow. Did you feel that same way too? Like there was money involved with the love with her?
Definitely.
Wow. See,
Yes.
now I'm getting a whole new perspective of this too, because that brings Maria in, who comes from pretty much nothing. So let's talk a little bit about the love interest between you two first, and then how she enters the picture.
Okay.
Tough question, Captain. Get that whistle.
So I think it was a lot about the money, definitely. And I think what made us separate was because of the different ways we looked at the Nazis, how she wanted to sit around and just wait for it to blow over, while I wanted to stand up and do something about it.
Yeah.
And that really just made us separate. And
Yeah.
then I found Maria.
Now, looking at this thing, like, you were involved with the Navy, right?
Yes.
Okay. And there had to be a conflict going on with you between, like, being dedicated to, like, what your military upbringing brought you, and the fact that they wanted to bring you into their agenda, the Nazi agenda. You had to break away from that, right?
Yes.
Do you think that if you stuck with her, you would have become part of the Nazi agenda, or you think you would have taken her over the mountain with you?
I think I probably would have become part of the Nazis
Okay.
and joined the Navy
Okay.
with them.
So what did you see in her that?
So when my wife died in this show,
Okay.
So we went from a musical family to I started running the house as if it was one of my naval ships.
Yeah.
And then Maria came in and she brought music back into the house. And that's what made me fall in love with her.
Okay, that's great. These are great answers. And you, my dear, okay, you are, let me see if I can get this right. You're 16,
Yep.
you're going on 17, and you meet Rolf. Did you know Rolf, like, before? I know he delivers mail and everything, but, like, did you always have your eye on him, like, when you were, like, say, 12 going on 13?
I mean, I guess so.
Okay.
He delivers the telegrams and stuff to the Von Trapp house, so I guess.
Okay, you guess. All right.
Yeah.
And being in a military family, because you probably, because you were the oldest, right?
Yeah.
Remember more about your mother than the rest of the kids.
Yeah.
Is there any conflict between, like, what you knew and what you see your father becoming, like going from a musical family and going to that whole military thing? Was there any kind of a... See, these are questions, being an actress, that a director's going to ask you. I don't hate to put you on the spot, but think about that for a second.
Well, I think that Lisa liked having a musical family because
Okay.
when Maria came back and brought music back into the children's lives, at first she's a little skeptical.
Yeah.
She's the oldest. She wants to be the mature one, doesn't want music. But after a while, she loosens up and like she really enjoys it.
Yeah.
So I think that when the captain's wife dies, that everyone's kind of like sad.
And the captain's wife is who to you?
My mom. So, yeah.
So when your mom died, there was sadness. Now,
Yeah.
you two, okay, kind of befriend each other
Yeah.
on a, on a, more than just a friendship, but it's almost like a trusting thing, which, did you have that with Elsa?
No, I don't think so because one of Elsa's lines is like, she doesn't know any of our names yet.
Okay.
And Maria knew our names right
Yeah.
away. So I think that's just kind of like a sign that it wasn't
Yeah.
meant to be. So.
But she probably knew how much money you had in your bank. Okay. Max, my friend. How are you?
I'm good. How about
Good.
you?
You're always smiling. Yeah. You can say yeah. Yeah. All right. So you're friends with the captain.
Yes.
Okay. Again, I don't know. Where did your friendship start? Was it like?
I'm not quite sure. It doesn't really mention that in the musical, but it seems to be that we're really close friends throughout
Yeah.
the whole thing.
It
And
seemed- Go ahead. I'm sorry.
okay. Oh, sorry. What were you?
What do you have in common? The sound of.
Actually, we're pretty different if you
Yeah.
really think about it. He's stuck in a life where he's kind
Yeah.
of controlling the family like he will control the naval
Right.
ship that he used to run, and I'm kind of like that awkward friend that's always good-natured and funny.
Yeah. And you're into music too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Let's go to Rolf. Hi, Rolf.
Hi.
Again, the villain.
Mm-hmm.
You're not really a villain.
Yeah.
You're just a young kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who's. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
So, so first, it starts off with me wanting to get like Liesel's heart, me wanting to love her. And then once I go to the Nazis, I'm trying to have them come to the right side, so we'll at least said the right side, so it can kind of help them a little bit. So since they're probably going to get killed, all the Nazis, they're going after them already, so they might as well just join them.
To go along, to get along.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, instead of causing conflict. Okay, pretty cool. Maria, we really need to talk to you a little bit more. You have a mic. Okay, I was going to say pass the mic, but okay, you're in the convent. How did you get there?
I'm not 100% sure. I know
Okay.
that Maria was an orphan
Okay.
at the beginning, and as she grew older, she used to climb up the mountain, which kind of developed her love for it, the hills. And when she had climbed down, I say that I climbed up a tree in the script.
Yeah.
And then I looked over at this garden wall to see the sisters singing and praying. And I feel like Maria kind of felt like it was meant to be because she saw the peace and how much they help, and she loved singing already. So to see them sing, it kind of just made her fall in love with it.
Yeah. Lots of times back in the day, orphans would be raised in a convent, so they would pretty much, become a nun because that's all they knew. So it was almost like a blessing that they got you out of there. But you were a little bit of a rebel anyway, weren't you? Yeah, you were the moonbeam. Yeah, how do you hold a moonbeam in your hand? It's not easy. It's not easy. All right, so it's not this Friday, it's next Friday, March 23rd at 7 p.m., March 24th at 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. Big pizza party in the afternoon, I hope, okay? And you guys ready?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
There was a little less time this year.
Okay. And production week is usually the toughest part.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, who's helping you out with audio? Is Chris George helping you guys out, or in the booth up there?
Larry Zuaro.
Okay.
Yeah, he's going to be the sound man.
He's going to be the sound man.
Yeah.
And do we have a live band this year? Or?
Oh yeah, live
Okay.
orchestra.
Yeah.
Live orchestra. Yeah.
Now, I can
Many
remember
strings.
years ago when you would have the computer music.
Yes.
And then you started
sequence.
bringing in the live band again.
Yes.
And so you guys aren't really familiar with the computer thing unless they're rehearsing that way, right?
No.
Okay, rehearsing with the live band. So I can't really ask you the question, so I'll ask you. Can you draw a contrast between what happens with the cast when you used to do it with a computer music versus when you're doing it with a live band, and which one do you feel is better and why?
Okay. Well, the live music's always better.
Yeah.
It's live. It's human beings. There's emotion involved. Computer was just so humanless.
Yeah.
It's just notes being played. It was good for the cast because it was consistent, always there,
Yep.
same timing, all the time. And live music, you never know what's going to happen. But the result is so much better, so much more emotionally roller coaster-ish.
Yep.
I just want to say one thing about Ralph's character. In the play, he actually in the play, it's a little bit different than the movie. I don't want to ruin
Okay.
it. And his character at the end, his reaction makes him a different character.
Okay. So we don't want to go there, but it
Right.
leaves
Slightly different.
leaves thought for.
Yeah, this
Okay,
thought.
cool.
Get people there.
All right.
People there.
Well, you're gonna at least have parents, and relatives, and.
And I got to mention, Miss Brenda LeMay is
Yes.
the director.
Yeah.
She's been working tirelessly, and she has a newborn.
Oh.
So she's been a full-time mom, full-time teacher, full-time director. She's done an amazing job.
Has she brought the baby to any of the rehearsals?
Yeah.
That must be pretty cool. Can't
He's
work the
so
baby into the
cute.
show, even for one
I
scene.
wish you could. Yeah.
One scene, bring the baby on stage. There's no dog in this, is there?
No dog.
No dog. Those
No
always
dog.
make it tough. But-
Yeah.
And how do you guys feel working with a live orchestra? Anybody can answer it.
I enjoy it because it really, I love that feeling at the beginning when it's all dark backstage and you can hear the orchestra preparing and you can really feel the energy of the show and you can really consider it. And it also becomes much easier because if you make a mistake, they're able to fix it up a tiny
Yeah.
bit so that it blends in. But without it, you have to pray that you can fix it on your own.
Yeah. Because you're all new here, I'm going to go down the line one more time. Tell me a little bit about some of the past experiences you may have or may not have had in theater and how this compares. Let's start in the back and we'll work our way this way this time.
All right. So I've been doing theater for around 3 years now. My first show was Oliver up at New Player, I think it's New Players
Wow,
Theater
yeah.
Guild. And I saw Mr. Landry there. That was the first time, and I'm like, oh, hey. And his daughter was in the show. She was amazing. And then I started just working. I just kept going, and I'm here now. And I actually was working with Alex's dad, John Williams. He's a really nice guy. I have to, great director.
Next, Max.
Well, I have to say that theater has been a pretty big part of my life, but when I really got into it, I forget what my first show is, but it was around the same time Gavin started, about 3 years ago. I forget what the show was, but then I got into doing a lot of musicals, and the first show I did in the All-City musical was Honk. I remember that. It's a musical version of The Ugly Duckling.
Okay.
It's a great show,
Yeah.
and then I've just been doing it since. The last year's performance was The Little Mermaid, and then this is the first year I actually have a really big part as playing Max Detweiler, so it should be a really good experience.
And what grade are you in?
I'm an 8th.
Okay, so next year you're going to be up to high school?
Yes.
Okay. Next.
I've been performing since 2nd grade. I haven't had the biggest parts, so this year is definitely a step up. I still really enjoy theater. My first show was it wasn't even a real show. It was a 30-minute one-act play at the Mount for like a class I was taking, and it was Cinderella, and I was Cinderella, so that was like exciting, and yep.
So you took a course at Mount Wachusett Community College.
Yeah.
Did you get to use that huge theater that they have there? Or?
We actually didn't.
Okay.
We stayed in one of the classes, which kind of stunk, but yeah.
Who's the teacher?
I don't remember. It was a really long time ago. But yeah, and then one of my more like recent, sorry, I'm talking a lot. One of the more recent shows I'm actually also in right now is Wizard of Oz. I'm the Tin Man.
Wow, the Tin Woman.
Yeah.
Or the Tin Person, right? Next.
So I've done theater for a couple of years now. I've done some shows at Wachusett Community College at the Mount there, and this is my third time being in the All-City Musical and my first lead. It's very exciting, but at the same time, nerve-wracking.
Yep.
The very first show I've ever done, actually, it wasn't a musical. It was Snow White, and it was with the Leominster Rec Department, and I was the Magic Mirror.
Okay.
And it was just a pool noodle.
You were the Magic Mirror?
Yes.
Wow.
It was just a
That's
pool noodle.
that must have been a cool role.
It was pretty fun. That's what
Cool.
started it all.
I started acting when I was really young, like probably 4 or 5. I went to a summer camp at the Groton School, and there's pretty big productions there, and I did acting for a long time. I got a couple leads, but then I stopped because like I was more musically inclined in general. My dad's a music teacher, so I started doing a lot of like all-state choruses and things like that, and I stopped acting, but this year I got back into it, so.
And, being in a musical, you're combining, both the fun you had in
Yeah.
acting and, the musical background that
Yeah.
you had. So this works out good. Siciliano.
Yes. So I started acting in 3rd grade with the Riverfront Children's Theater, which is now the Riverfront Family Theater.
Is that in Fitchburg? Or?
Yes,
Okay,
it is.
yeah.
It's with Sally Cragen, and it used
Yeah.
to be Janet Cragen, and that's where I really got into it when I played Benvolio in Romeo and Juliet.
Wow.
And that's where I really got a sense of the acting feeling, and she taught me everything I know, basically.
Did you know Janet at all? Or?
I did.
Yeah, Janet was
She was
pretty
there
cool.
for the first
yeah.
years. They
Yeah.
are both amazing.
I was in shows with her years ago, and she directed the last show I was in. I think it was in 2010. But yeah, I think she was great. She was a wow woman. She was
Yes.
funny and loud and boisterous, and yeah, she was a great human being. So I'm glad you all came. I mean, this is a whole new crop of young adults, and I'm very proud of you for
Thank
for
you.
doing this, and I'm very proud. And how do I put this? I sometimes have doubts with what I'm seeing in the youth today, but when I talk to a group like you, it just makes it all good again. And I wish you break a leg, because I don't want to say the other thing. And again, I'm proud of you. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Bob, you
Thank
want to
you.
give the dates one more time?
Sure. So it's March 23rd, Friday, next Friday, March 23rd, 7 o'clock. And on Saturday, it's 2 o'clock and 7 o'clock, the 24th.
Be there or be square.
there, yes.
All right, we're going to wrap it up. Again, another edition of Cityscope. This year's all-school musical, The Sound of Music. Next week, again, as Bob said, be there or be square. Thanks for watching.